Hey man, why do you keep writing Cartier off as like a fashion watchmaker?
Who, me? Who, me?
Yeah, you, dude, I'm talking to you. Before the episode even starts, like, why the heck do you keep writing Cartier off? You keep thinking, oh, they just make jewelry. Cartier is just for girls. No, dude. Cartier is a legit watchmaker. You know, like, for the longest time, men were just exclusively wearing pocket watches, and women were wearing wrist-worn timepieces because women didn't have pockets in their dresses. And predominantly, you know, women didn't really wear pants. So it wasn't until Cartier started making pilot's watches for men, right? The Cartier Santos Dumont, that men started wearing wrist-worn timepieces, and now, you know, they're known as wristwatches. So Cartier was really innovative, and they were pretty much on the cutting edge very early on when it comes to horology. So please, start considering them as a legitimate watchmaker because they deserve to be, all right? So now that we have this mutual understanding, let's just get into the episode, eh? Hey, champ? All right, let's do it. So behave yourself, all right? Let's talk about Cartier. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorite watchmakers ever, Cartier. Now, we know Cartier's been crushing it for a good long while. In fact, they had some of the best releases of 2020. That's right, 2020 was kind of a crazy year, but when we saw Cartier's Rotunda Cartier Mysterious Hour skeleton, the Rotunda Cartier Grand Complication, and the Rotunda Cartier Minute Repeater Mysterious Double Tourbillon, the trifecta of craziness, I knew that 2020, there were a few gems. There was a silver lining there, or I guess a rose gold lining when we take a look at these watches. I mean, I get it, guys. Cartier is seen as kind of a fashion watchmaker because they do make a bunch of jewelry and some more feminine items, but they do have some rough and tumble offerings. Not really. I mean, they have the Calibre de Cartier dive watch, but for the most part, they are kind of abstract and out there and elegant, and I think that's really badass. I mean, when we take a look at the Rotunda Cartier Minute Repeater Mysterious Double Tourbillon, again, not just one tourbillon, two tourbillons, and I think that one watch has 448 parts total. That is insane. They're a legit powerhouse of a watchmaker, guys. I think we need to start considering them because, again, 2020, they brought the heat, and I honestly think that in 2021, they already have some of the best releases. Let's take a look. It is 3:03 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so I'm gonna be totally honest here. Full disclosure, I am a bit biased towards Cartier because, again, they are one of my favorite watchmakers, but this entire channel is pretty much, you know, just from my own opinion, so take from this what you will. I also will admit most of Cartier's 2021 releases so far, or thus far I should say, are technically re-releases. They're essentially new iterations, modern takes on watches that they've already come up with in the past. So I still think they're crushing it though, especially when we take a look at the things like the newest Pasha de Cartier chronograph. I don't think that the Pasha chronograph is the best iteration of the Pasha, but it's still awesome to see a new one. So if we show you a picture of the newest Pasha chronograph and then we put it up next to the 1990 Cartier C-Timer Pasha, or I think it was the Pasha C-Timer chronograph, yes. You'll notice they look a whole lot alike. But there are actually some minute differences between these two offerings. So the 1990 variant was actually 38 millimeters, and this current one is 41. The incredible thing about both of these Pasha chronographs is that they retain this amazing textured dial, again, detail that only Cartier would pull off on one of their sportier offerings. And of course, the Pasha, being one of the earliest dive watches, does have, I guess, technically not a threaded crown, but it does have a threaded cap that goes over the crown, and that threaded cap does have that sapphire gemstone, and then both pushers also have the very Cartier sapphire gemstone. So everything here is somewhat sporty, but still incredibly elegant, and that's kind of a mix that Cartier pulls off very, very well. Now again, that new Pasha is 41 millimeters, but they did release something a bit more feminine, a bit smaller for the Panther series, and this this is also a Pasha, but we can see here, this is in precious metal, and they have one in stainless steel. Now, there's a few different iterations of both of these watches, the gold and the stainless steel Panther Pasha. We can see that one comes in at 30 millimeters and one comes in at 40 millimeters. However, the 30 millimeters exclusively a quartz movement, and then the 41 millimeter has the mechanical 9625 MC movement. Now, one of my favorite offerings this year is the release, or I should say re-release, of the Cartier cloche. Now, this is a watch you're absolutely going to love or absolutely going to hate, because again, Cartier does asymmetry very, very well. But some people absolutely need things to be symmetrical, and that's perfectly fine. You know, I definitely value symmetry. When it comes to Cartier, man, they just throw me for a loop, and I love how willing Cartier is to be different. Now, Cartier's been toying with these dark dials lately, and this cloche release for 2021 is no different. I believe it's limited to 100 pieces, and it has kind of a sunburst slate dial with a rose gold case and rose gold Roman numerals and a rose gold handset. Just an incredibly elegant watch, and again, you're getting that very, very Cartier sapphire gemstone on the crown. And remember how I said a lot of these are re-releases? Well, again, the Pasha chronograph, we've already seen one of those in 1990, and then the Cartier Pasha itself is very, very old, and then this Cartier cloche, well, here's a picture of one from 1922. Now, all of these 2021 iterations of the cloche de Cartier will be mechanical, using the 1917 MC hand wind movement. If you're not into that kind of slate with rose gold, you also have an off-white with actually a red gemstone on the crown, or you have more of a gold dial with, I believe that's yellow gold case. And if all of those are too tame for you, well, there's also a skeletonized offering of each finish, and one is actually, you know, bedazzled, which is not my thing, but hey, if you're into it, go for it. And again, this is pink gold, platinum, or platinum with diamonds. None of this stainless steel bull. So you'll recall in 2020 I freaked out over the new Cartier Santos offerings, and they were gorgeous. I really loved that limited edition two-tone. Well, they're back at it for 2021 with a few Santos Dumont offerings. There's a extra large model in platinum with a kind of, I don't want to say baby blue, in pictures kind of looks powdery. We'll say a powder blue dial, blue handset, red gemstone on the crown, and then there's a pink gold dial, pink gold bezel with the standard blue sapphire gemstone. Both extra large models, 18 karat pink gold and steel, or again, you have the platinum offering. For me, I would probably go pink gold stainless just because I like that contrast, but for you heavy hitters out there, you know, platinum's probably the only way to go. But again, if these Santos Dumont offerings are not good enough for you, well, just give me a moment. The Santos de Cartier also is showing up with a self-winding caliber, also known as an automatic movement, the 1847 MC, I believe, and they have a, let's see, 1847 MC Santos de Cartier, that's right, 18 karat yellow gold with steel, so that's a two-tone, with 206 brilliant cut diamonds inlaid on that bezel. And if you don't want the bracelet, don't worry, you can also get it on a blue strap. And if you don't like that gold kind of two-tone contrast, you also have a sunburst blue dial or standard silver dial, 41.9 millimeter by 35.1. Moving on to one of their more round offerings, could we say like balloonish? Oh, ballon, excuse me, the ballon bleu de Cartier. Now I'm joking, guys, but let's be honest, the ballon bleu is, you know, one of the rounder offerings. The Santos Dumont is typically more angular, so we can appreciate finally a round dial. Thank you very much. But it's actually not totally round, because we can see that crown kind of cuts into it. So what the f am I talking about? I'm an idiot. But the Ballon Bleu de Cartier has 4 new iterations. Well, actually a bit more than that, but let's talk about the first 4. You now have the option of getting a 40mm case. You used to only be able to get it, I believe, in 42mm and 36mm. So now you're kind of well within that sweet spot. Also using the 1847 MC automatic movement. My favorite of these 4 that you're seeing on screen right now has to be that slate dial with the rose gold. Again, I happen to love that contrast. It's just kind of understated, kind of warm, but also it's not as flashy as some of these more bedazzled offerings. So yeah, it's kind of warm, elegant, still very kind of luxurious to look at without it having a whole bunch of diamonds everywhere. Now, I actually made a mistake earlier. I said that there were more than 4 offerings for the Ballon Bleu, but there are only 4. The next 3 that I want to talk about are actually technically part of the Rotunda Cartier. So I kind of threw myself off a little bit because this is also a circular case shape. But the Rotunda Cartier, it seems like Cartier exclusively uses this round case shape to have all their ridiculous watchmaking shows of force just thrown in here, because just let's take a look at this. The Astra Mysterious. That's right, Astro Mysterious. Skeleton double tourbillon and Astro tourbillon. So we're looking at the Rotunda Cartier Astro Mysterious, which sounds like a superhero. The Skeleton double tourbillon, which sounds like a villain, and the Astro tourbillon, which would be the Astro Mysterious's sidekick that gets kidnapped by the Skeleton double tourbillon. So we look at these watches and we realize Cartier, although this might just be for looks, it's still incredibly difficult to pull off. Like, there's an incredibly high level of watchmaking going on here. So sure, you can argue, well, Cartier only does this because it's interesting to look at, so then that's kind of just fashion, right? Well, not really, because we look at all the like design and actual application and functionality of everything meshing together and working properly to tell us the time and still function as a wristwatch. It's mind-blowing, so I get it. Are these things we would wear every day? Probably not. Is it still incredibly impressive? Absolutely. I don't know how you can take a look at like a JLC gyro tourbillon and think that that is the pinnacle of watchmaking, but then also look at these and write off Cartier. It doesn't work that way. If the gyro tourbillon's impressive, this also has to be incredibly impressive. But I also understand that we can kind of just categorize all of this as mechanical art. It's moving art. I've said it before, just like with Jacob & Co. It's something I would never ever wear. Like those Jacob & Co.'s I would never ever wear. Like, absolutely. But you do have to give them credit that it's a ton of workmanship and craftsmanship going into those crazy Astronomia and just all those ridiculous watches. But with these Cartier, the Rotunda Cartier, I would wear these because these are, you know, a bit more wearable, I would say, as far as the overall case shape and it not having an enormous bubble of sapphire on the wrist. Also, none of these have that disgusting spider on it. Ugh. Oh, no, get it off screen. Get it off screen. I'm going to throw up. But I will make a certain concession. Okay, like I said at the beginning of the episode, Cartier does also make essentially like watches that are just jewelry. And I'm looking at these new Cartier Libra watches. One looks like a Ninja Turtle, one looks like a snake skin. Not a huge fan of these. The Tortue watch, and yeah, I don't have the names of both, but apparently they're oh wait. I do have the name, but I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Beige Noir? Whatever it is, but I think they're both limited to 50 pieces each. I'm not interested in any of these, and I think if Cartier only made watches like these, yeah, they would just be kind of a fashion watchmaker. But they don't! They make incredible things like the Rotunda Cartiers and the Santos Dumonts. And the Cartier Musts. That's right, Cartier is essentially bringing back the Must de Cartier line. I am so excited about this. You guys know I own a Must de Cartier tank, one of my favorite watches. It's kind of what I would consider a tuxedo watch, and I know people are like, oh, you don't wear a wristwatch when you wear a tuxedo. I'll do whatever the f I want. That's right, there's kind of a like burgundy or a dark red, I don't know, is it a maroon? I'm really bad with colors, but they have kind of a red variant, they have a green variant, and a blue variant. For me, I would probably go red or blue. I'm so excited that they're making these kind of simple dial. It just shows that this is a watchmaker. I mean, when we look at all of their watches that we've spoken about, they clearly don't take themselves super seriously. They're able to have fun. They're able to function on a very high level and still produce art and fun things to look at without being so self-important that they can't do anything out there. Like, I'm happy that they take risks and they're willing to get out there, do something a bit crazy. So a little splash of color here and there doesn't hurt anybody. And yeah, it seems like they're bringing back these, I think they're calling them the Cartier Must right now, which is kind of a play on the Must Cartier, which is, again, they did this back in the 70s and 80s. They were releasing these simplified Cartier tanks with different colored dials. So I love it. I absolutely love it. So guys, there you have it. We've kind of spoken about some of the new Cartier releases for 2021. Hopefully Cartier just keeps doing this. There's no way that the watch world should write off Cartier any further. They are absolutely producing some watches that are more of a show of force, like these Rotunda Cartier watches, but also some fun watches, some just kind of splashes of fun, right? The Must Cartier. So I'm very happy with that. So which one is your favorite? Again, commenting really helps me out with the algorithm. So leave me a comment. Which is your favorite? Do you own a Cartier? Do you want to own one? Which one would you choose? Write it down in the comment section and I will see you there. All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you learned something new. And if you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Join the channel memberships. It's like YouTube's Patreons, $4.99 a month. And you get some extra content over there and access to that members only Discord chat. So hit that join button next to the subscribe button and I will see you at the weekly members meetup over on the Discord, and it is a whole lot of fun, so I can't wait to see you there. Check out all the affiliate links in the description below, because when you shop using those links, you do help the channel out a bunch. Check out my personal website, thetimetellershop.com, and I will see you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it.